Hey, that shit just. Oh, I hate when that shit hit the floor, but they crack wide open. Yeah, you got them hardwood floors. Yeah, they sound to me like a monkey. Worse. The Federal Aviation Administration reports staff shortages among air traffic controllers are forcing flight cuts at 8 major airports, including Atlanta, San Francisco, Houston, Washington. Are having a harder time finding jobs. The new kids coming out of school, computer science majors that are having difficulty. And this is just the start. Like AI is in its infancy. When you have there are people that aren't really keeping up with the whole full self-driving. Mr. Yoff, the mic, brother, and you making noises. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you. The transportation industry. I want you to look up how much money overall the transportation industry generates. And when we have full self-driving vehicles that can go 24/7, that can replace truck drivers, and you have robots on there loading and unloading the trailer. What do you think happens? I think people think when they say something like, "Oh, it can't replace every job." We don't need it to replace every job. Do you know what 25% unemployment would do to this country? Do you know what 40% unemployment would do to any country? Do you know what 40% would do? Yeah, that's why. Yeah, it would be devastating. It would have cascading effects. Cascading. It would this. We're all interdependent parts, and you start with certain parts, the machine collapses. This is a big machine. You just pull out willy-nilly certain parts of it, it's not going to work. There are going to be unintended consequences that people didn't even anticipate. And we're talking, I'm telling you, there's going to be a point where people are going to say, I can't believe people used to drive themselves. It's going to be nuts. I can't believe you let a doctor get into you, a surgeon. That's going to be nuts. It's just we're going to get to that point, and it's not something that's so science fiction and so far fetched in the future. This is not that. Hold on. Sweet just hasn't had a time, so let's get the new guy a shot. Go ahead, Sweet. Yeah, I can look it out. People survive. That's what we're saying. Like you were saying, modern. So okay, the human being is gonna walk around. So immediately, you don't need. Guess what you still got, children? Guess what you still? You probably still want. I don't know, human services. So immediately, the one that's wide awake and not complaining is saying, "Oh shit, there's a huge need for blase." You figure it out. There's a huge need for a million different things right now. So the one that will service actually will be more than the next and that person lost it. But guess what? They still want to wake up every day. They probably still want to have clean clothes. They probably still want to, take a bath. They'll figure out that human beings still have a huge bunch of needs that all of a sudden aren't getting serviced the way they've been serviced for quite some time. So instead of saying, "Oh my God, I moved my cheese," that's a good look. They'll actually say, "Oh shit, there's a whole bunch of other opportunities now. If I got enough sense and attention units to focus in on, these human beings still need some other stuff now." And what they're going to do is recognize what is, and they're going to be using it AI, which I call awesome intelligence, and they're going to use it to create what they need based on the circumstances that they now have. And they're going to talk to ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or Google's version or as much as possible to ask, now that that's the reality, what do you suggest? What do you think? And they're going to use it for their own best interest. You know how I know that? Because the case study of human life says people are going to survive. Oh, yeah. So let me say this. All right, so let me respond. It's like I've been hearing this like because I'm a truck driver, so myself, I've been hearing like about the self-driving truck since 2010. Okay, it's 2025. Okay, and we still driving around semi trucks. People are still driving semi trucks. Back in 2010, they were talking about the person that rides in that the next person that rides in that taxi is not going to sit in somebody else's car. They have clean and they don't. Sweetheart, I'm not done. Okay. So I was asking those questions back then, so I knew it was all bullshit back then. It was all hype. And I understood that it was all bullshit back then. It was all hype. And I understood that, these guys, these Bezos, the Musk and stuff, Tesla is, I don't care how many of these cars you see, nobody's buying these Teslas. People don't want these Teslas, okay? They tried to sell Teslas to that company that rents the cars out. And they brought literally thousands of those Teslas and nobody bought them. And they went out of business because as it turns out, when people rent these brother, I'm not done. It turns out when people rent cars, they want to be able to go where they want to go. And it's not always convenient to have these EVs because you can't charge them. So it is what it is, I almost tell people this when talking about you don't know what's going to be out here, what's not. I'll lay right there. Oh, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. I'll see. Listen to the conversation. Get happy. That's how you have persistent enjoying discourse. Can't just speak a lot about social democracies and democratic socialism. Refer to the Nordic countries. They usually say that they're democratic socialists. Well, yes, at one point until about, I would say, mid-80s, if I'm not mistaken, until the mid-80s, according to history, there were parties that called themselves democratic socialists and whatnot that did implement policies that were, I want to say, right-wing and all the different collectivism. But they were very much policies that characteristics of collectivism. Until eventually, two countries primarily, but most of them would go to Norway actually, that broke away after they found oil. And so, if we talk about social democracy, right? Social democracy is basically it can emerge from a socialist movement, which doesn't necessarily advocate the implementation of socialism, but rather what it says is that if we implement social programs and policies that economically benefit the majority of society, that gives them some form of control over economic policies without much intervention of bureaucracy, then what will happen is the society will slowly assimilate into the socialist framework, and it will be a very peaceful process. So that's what they believe. And we don't necessarily need to abolish capitalism. All we need to do is just regulate it in a way that is more delegatory. And basically, now, what people refer to as, oh, well, that's a socialist policy, right? Because it looks like that. Well, for example, retirement. Retirement is a social policy. It basically, social security, right? Like the funding and so on and so forth. Healthcare, Medicare, Medicaid, however you want to call it. Now,
example, Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal, President Barack Obama's Affordable Care Act. You can say, well, these were socialist policies. In reality, well, they were really not, because they were both retained by private enterprises. None of the people that were part of the Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, or that voted for it, were actually involved directly in the making of these policies or in the way the funding for this enterprise was actually used. Even though they got the benefit, but they were actually held by private handlers or private enterprises. Same thing with the hedge funds. Like, a lot of people think, hey, look, we help students get their degrees, but afterwards they pay back the money. This is coming from government. No, actually, hedge funds come from private funders. And the whole idea of funding students began earlier on Wall Street when, a bunch of capitalists got together and said, look, we make money and we need people to come into these industries. Why don't we pay people to go study so that when they finish their degrees and they attain the skill sets, they come work for us. So it wasn't really adding this gesture of, hey, we're just trying to do good. Yes, do good, but also benefit and reap from the good. So I think these are some of the things that we need to look at. For instance, when we look at veterans health, right? People say, well, that's the government-run healthcare for veterans. And well, we say yes, true, but in reality, the hospitals, the doctors, all of them, when a doctor is making a decision, I'm not involved as a patient, right? Those who get the surgeries, they're not asked collectively, hey, you come and tell the doctor how to perform the surgery because you want to see the benefits of the surgery or this particular method of surgery. No. So it has some resemblance to socialist policies, but it's not strictly social policy. So, but democratic socialism, if I could just touch on that for a little bit, democratic socialism, right, believes in collective and public ownership. So the hospital doesn't belong to, let's say, Maryland, which has something we have, hospitals. It doesn't belong to Maryland State, right? It belongs to the people in Maryland. So if any tweaks in policies of that hospital, any kind of administrative changes happen, the people must be consulted by way of a referendum, by way of a vote, by way of survey. They have to be asked and do the will of the people because that's public.
Let me chime in here real quick. Because I think what the gentleman is trying to do, he's trying to control the socialist extremism that could potentially surface from people that adopt this ideology, right? He's trying to give it a bit of he's trying to inoculate it to the natural forces we know humans are naturally predisposed to. Which is that when given the opportunity to get access to free things that they didn't have to toil for, that appetite grows. And I think what he's doing, it's noble, right? Oh, it could exist in a very confined, sterile environment in which there's parameters and there's healthy protections against abuse. As if to suggest that the very nature of humanity is not abusive against areas that can be exploited. And what socialism does is it opens the door for exploitation. Because what it attempts to do is there's no amount of connecting socialism to democracy and suggesting that, because we have a socialist democratic society, that it's going to rein in the abuses. No, that's wishful thinking.
That's your representation.
That's wishful. No, what's the case? What I'm saying is trying to sanitize it. You can't sanitize it. I hear you what you're saying, but you're saying it can work in certain silos and contexts. I'm saying it can't. And let me tell you the reason why. It's because when you corrupt our motive, I got it. Let me just get this out. When you corrupt the motives, right? You can corrupt the motives of self-worth and self-determination, and you try and collectivize the production across. You would essentially have to also redistribute the workload to support that wealth. And that's where you go from socialism to communism, because you cannot redistribute the workload of sustaining that wealth
forcing people into labor. People that would otherwise not want to do it. And that's why capitalism is the perfect antidote to socialism and ultimately communism, which I think socialism is just a slippery slope to communism because it creates.
Real quick, that Austrian painter was correct. Real quick, because one thing one thing that he did show though is that there was one example that he didn't use theoretical possibilities that it actually did, and you can't refute that. But either way, continue.
What example are you talking about? Now, I'm not trying to refute it. I just wanted to point out some gaps in the logic here to suggest that we can have a fully sustainable socialist democratic society that that leans into the virtues of socialism but completely eschews the vices of socialism is wishful thinking, and I don't think it's practical. I think you have to understand the human condition that it naturally corrupts and it takes away the motivation to do any type of self generated efforts towards wealth attainment. If I can spread the wealth and I can redistribute the wealth, then why would I work to build anything if the state is?
Well, you gotta
know that naturally will lend itself to a collectivist redistribution of labor, and that's where you get labor camps, and that's where you get forced labor, and we know that story. We've seen it before. That's why socialism never works.
GC, yes, I get it. I'm really, it won't work in the West, in my opinion, too. One thing I'm only pointing out is there is a world example where it has done and didn't do any of that. That's the example he used. So you're up.
Is he talking about that? Really, I'm going to translate this.
Taking it. So, exactly. See, we got to do better with not just going off the labels because people are going to look out for people. If you're a CEO and you're not looking out for your society, people call employees, and doing what is best for them, and you're not creating something for them to be able to eat from, you won't have a company. You won't have a reality. So, and on this note about, I know a secure job where things changed and folks just had to figure out a way to do something different. It had to do with cotton. The most secure job in the South for a while was picking some cotton. That was job security to the nth degree. And I don't know how many folks are still picking cotton, but those people decided to keep it pushing and figure out some other stuff to do once the machines came over and said, we're going to replace all of you, so that means you're picking more cotton. Now, it would have been like, I'm hearing, oh my God, what can possibly we do? And yet they figured out how to go do shit themselves. The ones that did that well, children, our grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren that are on the slaves today, or that are still alive some kind of way. So what I'm saying is, the idea that things change and humans don't adapt, and they don't, that's the insanity part. So now, oh my God, now the machines that some other human being put in place and built, and there's millions of folks right now that are getting very educated every week on how they can secure themselves with opportunities that are now opening up. But if you're just thinking that business as usual is where you should keep your mind, that's the difficult part that I think was going on. People are having a hard time saying, that's not how it is anymore. Let's do something else. And so because people, as they get older, they retire mid-check, and they thought everything was just going to just be okay now, and they come all this way, play the game the way they were taught to play the game, and some did it better than others, and got educated a certain way, got job security, and thought that the government was the best job security you could ever have. And now they realize that all of that is not the case anymore. So, but those that have never been in those positions are really blessed ones because they've never depended on. Let's go back a little bit to where people were surviving and thriving and doing stuff, and pull up some of that old history stuff and see that people were still doing things. And that
You
needs
put
to
a
walk
lot
out.
of
It's just in the room.
you had it.
Right?
One of the more intriguing aspects of what Alpha said was based on the fact that socialism exists in the United States. He pretty much said that.
Well, let me just land my plane. I know you want to just cut me off, but let me at least just land my plane in the middle of the half a second. Let me just land my plane and then I'll pass it to your point. And so
Right now, you already landed for sure.
no, I didn't. Man. Just you jumped in and cut me off doesn't mean I landed. Bro.
How rude.
Well, can you be truly yourself? Express yourself completely and keep quiet. You shouldn't do bad shit to people around you because that's the thing. That's the thing. And I'm saying all of that to say, maybe you should follow some political social legally. Oh yeah, these are them. We can't have quote unquote custody. We have to be replaced. So I truly know what. I don't agree with that. I believe an overfed, oversexed, indulgent, dominating, the master leads to his the book of the source of light. Reverend Scott, it sounds like you were doing a lot of singing or yelling last night.
That's what I was thinking. I was going to ask, were you out on the town last
I
night?
was out of the town. I did not sing actually. We did not. We didn't do karaoke last night. We decided that we'd take a break. Me and my friends, and we just kind of one of my best friends, my dentist friend. We like to try to see if there's any new ladies out in Center City, and so we just walked around and visited a few establishments, and neither of us we're both still bachelors, so that's how it went. But
Did you end up meeting any ladies or getting any numbers?
yeah, it was not a great night for Scotty. It was it's fine. My friend Dave, who was again one of my best friends, he's lived in the same bachelor apartment for years. We're going to an open house tomorrow. He might buy a house, an amazing house right across the street. The place is unbelievable. So I'm going to an open house today to go look at the house with Dave.
Very quickly after Mod Squad Popcorn, I've invited Arabi Money up because Arabi Money has made some comments in the group chat, which I would like Arabi Money to back up. And if he doesn't back up, those comments will be deleted because they seem like claims without any evidence. But go ahead, Mod Squad, continue on, and then Norm is next. If you guys want. If not, it's okay. All right, then. focus, meditation, yoga, fluid breathing.
South Street presents Stress Relief, featuring medical doctor, author, and educator, Dr. Martin Rossman.
Hi, this is Dr. Marty Rossman welcoming you to the Stress Relief Guided Imagery CD program. Stress is a normal part of life, but excessive stress and excessive stress response can be exhausting and draining. Left unchecked or unbalanced, it can lead to a wide variety of unpleasant symptoms, including anxiety, insomnia, headaches, body aches and pains, and even depression. It can also lead us to indulge in unhealthy lifestyle choices, such as smoking, excessive drinking, or unhealthy eating as we attempt to get some relief from the discomfort too much stress causes in the body. This CD program will teach you a variety of simple, effective, and healthy ways to relieve that stress in your body and mind, so you can live a happier and healthier life on your own terms. You can use the CD to learn and practice these relaxation and imagery skills. And once you learn them, you'll find that you'll be able to use them anytime when you need to reduce your level of stress. And of course, you can use the CD to guide you as much as you like. The stress response is a physical reaction in your body that we sometimes call a fight or flight response. This is triggered when you run into a dangerous situation, like a wild animal or a mugger. Your body prepares for survival by sending an alarm to the sympathetic nervous system, which curiously doesn't have anything at all to do with being sympathetic, but has to do with surviving the crisis. The sympathetic nervous system sends signals throughout your body that increase your heart rate and blood pressure, make all of your senses more alert and acute, and shunt blood to your large muscles to supply extra strength for the emergency. You become supercharged for survival. This is the state we hear about when mothers move cars to save their babies, or people perform heroic acts that defy belief. If you survive the threat, your body goes back into a compensatory rest period called the relaxation response, which in many ways is the opposite of the fight or flight response. The relaxation response is a repair and recharging state of the body, where brain and muscle chemicals are replaced, energy is renewed, and injuries are healed. The relaxation response signals travel through the parasympathetic nervous system, which relaxes the muscles, sends blood back to the digestive system, and lets the brain, heart, and blood vessels relax. This relaxation response allows us to heal and return to normal as quickly as possible after an episode of high stress. Stress researchers refer to the scenario I described as type 1 stress. There's a clearly identifiable threat, an action that can be taken to resolve it, and one way or another, it's over quickly. Fortunately, in modern life, we rarely run into wild beasts or direct threats to our lives. But in the course of our daily lives, we're confronted with many things that are also threats, even if they're not so immediate. And we tend to hold these threats in our minds and worry about them. We worry about mortgages and taxes and wars and jobs and health and loved ones. And the list goes on and on. The thing is, the brain reacts to these thoughts, images, and fears as if they were real, immediate threats. These thoughts themselves can trigger a stress response in your body, even if it isn't full-fledged. The body research running on high alert present immediate threat to survival, but these threats can't usually be resolved quickly, if at all. Stress researchers call this type 2 stress, triggered by multiple ongoing worries and hassles that often have no clear path of resolution. This kind of ongoing stress is what wears us down, depletes our energy, erodes our mood, and causes us to reach for the closest form of comfort. Because we can't run or fight these sources of stress, at least not immediately and directly, the solution to type 2 stress is to learn to interrupt the stress by triggering the relaxation response on a regular basis. We relieve this type of stress by using the same part of us that caused it in the first place, our imaginations. The very good news about type 2 stress is that because you can create it with your imagination, you can also relieve it the same way. And that's what you learn to do in this program. There are two major skills in resolving and reducing stress. One is resolving stressful situations that can be resolved, and the other is changing the way you react to an unresolvable situation. You'll learn relaxation and imagery skills on this CD that will help you do both, by learning to physically and mentally relax at will, and learning to use the creative problem-solving capacity of your inner mind. Before you start to learn to relax, take a moment to learn a simple way of assessing your stress or tension level. People react to excessive stress in different ways. Some react physically, with headaches, neck pain, and low back pain, while others feel more emotionally upset, get anxious, or have trouble sleeping. Yet another group will find themselves smoking, drinking, or overeating in an attempt to reduce their distress. What are the first signals you get that you are carrying too much stress response around? If you're not sure, be alert for what happens as you become more aware of stress and relaxation as you use this program. Whatever your signals, most people feel a greater amount of tension in their body as they become more stressed. In a moment, I'll ask you to scan your body and assess your tension level. But first, I want to introduce you to a handy way to measure your stress level, simply by imagining a scale or a gauge that reads from 0 to 10. This could be a vertical or horizontal scale, or a circular gauge like a speedometer on a car, or any other kind of measuring device that you imagine that goes from 0 at the lowest to 10 at the highest. If 0 represented having absolutely no stress or tension at all, and 10 represented having as much stress and tension as is humanly possible, where would you rate the tension and stress level you feel right now? Just take a minute to become aware of your body and the way you feel right now. You might want to slowly scan your attention through your body, like a radar or sonar beam, traveling from top to bottom and back up. Just notice where you would place yourself right now on this imaginary scale. Wherever it is, remember the number or write it down and use it as a baseline level so you can evaluate the relaxation methods I will teach you next. I recommend that you listen to and experiment with the next two sections to begin to learn to relax. Together, they'll only take you about 15 minutes or so, and you'll probably find that they immediately help you to feel more relaxed and comfortable. Let's start with a fundamental skill for physically and mentally relaxing, using your breath. I never imagined when I went to medical school how much time I would spend simply teaching people to breathe more deeply and fully, but it's one of the easiest and most effective tools you have for relieving tension and the stress response. Breathing is like one of those cars that student drivers learn to drive in, with two sets of controls. Your body will always automatically breathe enough for you to survive. And your breathing is usually regulated without you having to think about it at all by the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems we discussed earlier. When we're calm and relaxed, breathing is normally deeper and slower. Although many of us develop habits of shallow breathing from learning probing, trying to hold our bellies in, being overly sedentary, or simply being in a stress state much of the time. When we're overstressed, our breathing tends to become shallow and higher in our chest, like a deer standing stock still trying to avoid being seen by a predator. Over time, this shallow breathing becomes a source of stress in itself, because the body doesn't rid itself of waste products that are usually eliminated in the out-breath. The good news here is that we can take conscious control of our breathing, and by learning to breathe more deeply and fully, we can reverse the activation of the stress system and turn on the relaxation system. What you want to do in order to do this is to learn to belly breathe once again. Belly breathing, technically called abdominal or diaphragmatic breathing, is perfectly natural. If you get a chance to watch a baby or an animal breathe while they sleep, you'll see that mostly their tummy goes in and out, and their chest just moves a little bit at the end of the breath. That's abdominal breathing, or belly breathing. To reverse belly breathing, lie comfortably on your back, or recline in the chair. Place one hand on your abdomen and one hand on your chest. And without trying to change anything, simply observe what happens in your hands when you breathe normally. Which hand lifts first when you inhale? Which one lifts the most? Which one moves downwards first? And what moves more, the hand on your belly or the hand on your chest? Now imagine that you have a balloon in your belly. Next inhale, imagine that you breathe right into that balloon and let yourself fill it as full as you can. When you've reached the limit for one breath, let the breath escape from the balloon with a little back pressure against your lips, and follow the breath all the way out, emptying out till the balloon is as empty as you can get it without straining the throat. And hold it out for a count of 2. And then fill the balloon again and hold it in for a count of 2. And then let it empty again with a long, smooth out breath. And then let your breathing go to its natural rate and rhythm once more. And take a minute to notice what's happening in your breathing and in your hands now. Does it seem the same, or has it changed in any way? Just notice. There are many different timing patterns that people use for relaxation breathing, and here's a simple one to explore. What you'll do is take another belly breath, this time filling the balloon on a slow count of 4, like 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. You'll hold it in for a count of 2, and release it fully on a count of 1006. You'll hold it out for a count of 2, and then let your breathing become normal again, and relax for a few minutes. If you can, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So, when you're ready, take a belly breath, filling the balloon with a slow count of 4. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. And hold it for a count of 2. 1001, 1002. And release fully on a count of 6. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, And hold it out for a count of 2. 1001, 1002. And now let your breathing become normal again. And just relax for a few moments. And when you're ready, let's try it again. And this time let yourself count mentally to find your own rhythm. Breathe in on a slow count of 4. Hold it in for a count of 2. And breathe out on a slow count of 6. Letting your out breath be a real letting go kind of breath. Hold it out for a count of 2. Relax and breathe normally. Notice whether it's the same before, higher, or lower. Don't be particularly concerned about where it is right now. While you'll soon learn to relax with belly breathing, you might even feel a little more tense right now until you get comfortable with it and find your own breathing rhythm. If you already feel more relaxed, however, you're already starting to feel the benefits. Now, when you're ready, let yourself take 4 nice full belly breaths in a row. Again, inhaling to a slow count of 4, holding for 2, exhaling in a slow count of 6, and holding up for 2. I'll let you count for yourself. Let yourself experiment with it till you find the rhythm that feels best for you. And after 4 belly breaths, let your body relax and just let your breathing go natural. And now, assess your tension and stress level again on the Richter scale. And notice what's happening. And now take just a few minutes more to experiment with some simple images that will offer you in the insect. Now let's see what happens if you add a few simple thoughts and images to your belly breathing. If you haven't checked your tension level, do that now and rate it on a 0 to 10 scale, with 0 being no tension and 10 being maximum tension. And then on your next 4 belly breaths, imagine that you're inhaling calm and relaxation and releasing tension or pressure as you breathe out. Use the count of 4 in, holding for 2, 6 out, holding for 2, and whatever. You might even mentally repeat the word relax as you breathe in and release as you breathe out. And now breathe normally and assess your tension level and notice how you feel. And now breathing normally, simply imagine that your body is like a sack of potatoes. And notice what that feels like. I wonder if you felt any change in your body as you imagined that. Just notice. How about if you imagine that your body is made a tiny bit wet and limp and loose? It can be warm or cold, whichever you prefer. Notice if either of those images relaxes your body. And if they do, remember them and use them when you want to relax. And now to relax more deeply, breathing normally. Imagine yourself being somewhere very beautiful and peaceful. Somewhere you may have been before, or somewhere that just comes to you right now. It doesn't really matter. As long as the place you imagine is beautiful to you, and peaceful, and safe. And just take a few moments to notice what you imagine seeing in this place. The colors, the shapes, the things you imagine seeing. And notice if there are any sounds that you hear in this place. Or if it's just very quiet. Notice what the air is like. Or if there's an odor or aroma you smell. There may or may not be. And it doesn't really matter. Just notice what you notice in this special place of relaxation and peace. Notice what time of day or night it seems to be. And what time of year. And just relax there for a few moments and enjoy this beautiful, peaceful place. And especially notice how it feels to be there. And just enjoy a few moments there without having to go anywhere else or do anything else. And if that feels good to you, just let yourself soak up the feeling of peacefulness and joy. As if you were a sponge, you could absorb it right into yourself. And just take a little while just to be. And then when you're ready, let yourself prepare to become aware of the outside world around you. Slowly and gradually. And if you feel you want to stay in this peaceful place, that's all right. You can stay here as long as you like until you feel it's time to come back to the outer world. And you can remember that you can visit this peaceful place within you at any time of your own choosing, to draw from the sense of beauty and peacefulness there, whether for a minute, or a few minutes, or longer. And when you come back to the outer world, you can gently open your eyes and look around, notice what's around you. You can gently stretch and become fully alert, relaxed, and refreshed. But before you begin to move about too much, just take another moment to scan your body and once again assess your tension level. And notice how it compares to where it was when you started. If you feel more relaxed than you were before, realize that you now have a method that can relax you in just a few minutes. 1 or 2 cycles of 4 belly breaths, and whichever of these simple images will work best method a couple of times a day to break the stress and tension. And use it when you're tired, or wired, or need a break. Use it before eating to improve your digestion and help you savor your food. And help you with your food selection and your amount to cheat if that's an issue for you. And use these relaxation methods whenever you feel your stress level is getting out of your comfort zone. If you're going to drive or operate any kind of dangerous machinery or equipment after relaxation, make sure that you're fully alert and that your attention is all the way back in the outer world before you do. You might want to take a 2-minute walk and just feel your whole body and make sure that your full attention is back in the outside world. You may want to write or draw about your experience and what you've learned about stress and relaxation so far, and then take a break. At a later time, when you have about 25 minutes or so, listen to the next lesson. It will teach you a simple method for reaching an even deeper level of relaxation and comfort. Here's a somewhat longer relaxation method that will help you reach an even deeper level of relaxation and comfort. It builds on the skills you've already learned and adds a simple counting imagery and body relaxation to help take you deeper. This process will take you about 20 minutes or so and will leave you feeling relaxed but refreshed after doing it. If you're in a high stress period, or if you're habitually tense, I recommend practicing this deep relaxation method twice a day for 3 weeks to condition your mind and body to the relaxation response. If you can't do it twice a day, aim to practice once a day, and then use your belly breathing and briefer relaxation methods for shorter periods throughout. You'll accustom yourself to being more relaxed, just as you learn, without knowing it, how to be tense and wound up. So to begin, make yourself comfortable, let the machine answer the phone, and ask anyone you need to ask to not serve you for about 20 to 25 minutes or so. You may not use any tight clothing or jewelry. Remember, you only relax because you decide to, and this is a skill that you are learning. You are in control. You can open your eyes and stop the process whenever you like, and you can close them again and resume the relaxation process whenever you like as well. Intention in the opener. And take 4 of these relaxing breaths, and then let your breathing become easy and natural. And when you are ready, imagine yourself at the top of a set of 10 stairs, leading gently downward to a peaceful, safe, and powerfully relaxing place. You can imagine the stairs as steep or shallow as you like, indoors or outdoors, natural or constructed. They may be stairs from somewhere at some time in your life, but they may be purely imaginary. It really doesn't matter. So just accept the stairs as you imagine, as long as it's pleasant and comfortable for you. If for any reason it isn't, change the scene and imagine a set of stairs that is pleasant and comfortable. relaxing the section of your body as you do. And with each step, you can relax a bit more. And at the bottom, you can immerse yourself again in a peaceful, safe, and powerful place where you can relax, recharge, and renew. As you take a deep, full breath and move to step 10, become aware of your feet, your ankles, and your legs. And let your feet, ankles, and legs soften and relax in your own way, easily and naturally, without effort or struggle. Just inviting them to let go of any excess tension you don't need to hold. And when you move to step 9, become aware of your hips, pelvis, and lower back, and let them soften and release tension. Don't worry at all about how any part of you relaxes or tensions as you relax. Simply letting yourself enjoy the sensations of deeper relaxation and comfort with each step you take. As you move to step 7, become aware of your chest and rib cage, and the area between and across your shoulder blades. And let the chest and rib cage soften and relax. Your heart and lungs can relax as well and become more comfortable in your chest. And the area across and between your shoulder blades and across the breast area can relax as well. Then pause for a moment and notice how comfortable you feel. Remember, you're in control, and you can relax a little bit or a lot with each descending stair. So when you're ready, go to step 6 and become aware of your neck and shoulders. And invite your neck and shoulders to soften and relax and become more comfortable in their own way. Really let this area go and let it become soft and comfortable. And as always, feel free to move this or any other area to become even more comfortable. And as your neck and shoulders relax, go deeper to step 5 and let a pleasant feeling of relaxation and comfort flow down your arms, through your elbows, down your forearms, through your wrists and hands, and all the way to the tips of your fingers and thumb. And inviting the palms of your hands to relax pleasantly as well. And as each part of you relaxes, all of you can relax more deeply and comfortably if you like. And as you move to step 4, become aware of your scalp and forehead and invite them to soften and relax and become more at ease. And at step 3, your eyes and the little muscles around your eyes can soften and become at ease and take a very well-deserved rest. As you go deeper to step 2, you can release the muscles of your face, your jaw muscles, your lips, As you step down to stair one, imagine that you find yourself being somewhere once again. It is very beautiful and peaceful to you. Somewhere you may have been before, or somewhere that just comes to you right now. It doesn't really matter. As long as the place you imagine yourself to be is very beautiful to you, very peaceful, very safe. And just take a few moments to notice where you're imagining yourself now, and what you imagine seeing in this place. Noticing the shapes and colors, and all the things you imagine seeing. Notice if there are any sounds in this place, or if it's very quiet. And notice if there's an odor, or an aroma, or a special quality or feeling in the air. There may or may not be. Just notice what you notice in this place. Notice what time of day or night it seems to be. And I wonder if you can tell what time of year it is. Just relax for a few moments here and enjoy this beautiful, peaceful place. And especially notice how it feels to be there. And just give yourself the opportunity to enjoy a few moments there without having to go anywhere else, without having to do anything. And if that feels good to you, just let yourself soak up the feelings of peacefulness, of relaxation, of renewal that are there. As if you were a sponge, and you could absorb it directly into your body, into your cells, to the deepest core of your being, filling you with a peaceful and relaxed energy, and just letting your body and mind renew and recharge and refresh as they take this very well-deserved break. And just take a few minutes to just let yourself be with these deep feelings of relaxation and renewal.
So he didn't say, as other mayors have said, if you come to New York to bother troopers, I don't know if the troopers were supporting ICE or what, but he was yelling at them at the top of his lungs and physically sort of, with his hands down, smashing his body into them, the way they do that so that you're not hitting somebody, but you're bumping into them. So he seems unhinged. So
I was going to say he might have a temper that none of us have seen. And by the way, did you note his entire transition staff are all women? Don't know if you noticed that or not.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that to me. By the way, I should point out many people may not know this. New York had a Democratic Socialist mayor before.
I didn't know that.
Right, many people don't. David Jenkins from the Greenwich Village, my home, Democratic Socialist club, and he was perhaps the worst mayor in the history of the city. A one-term, a nice guy with whom I spent lots of time hanging around and partying. Absolutely fun guy. Like Bill de Blasio, who I also supported, and for whom I raised millions of dollars, did nothing for the city. I think, I can be confused and strong if you wish, Steve, but I would say that I'm looking for one again.
Norm, thank you.
Can we ask Norm one more question? Norm,
Yeah.
can you give context to the Hasidim, this group of Hasidim that endorsed him? This was, I saw a video of it. This group of Orthodox Hasidim that he sat with, and it was endorsed by. I was shocked.
Norm, you can take 60 seconds now, or you can have another fresh 5 a little later, your choice.
I can give just a quick answer for Scott.
Yeah.
So there's a sect of Hasidim called the Farmer, and you probably know this. These the anti-Zionist guys. Well, no, you're thinking of the Tory cartel. They don't endorse political Zionism, but they love Israel. They go to Israel. It's just the way you come to the which is a spiritual position. But because they have many schools, and the schools, of course, get subsidies, as all schools do, they are making a deal with Mondani so that it doesn't disrupt the education of their children. So that's the explanation of it.
Thank you very much. It's time for Mod Squad Popcorn. After Mod Squad Popcorn, we have Joanna, who's new on stage. We have Drench, who's new on stage. And if you're in the audience and want to come up and speak after Mod Squad Popcorn, we encourage you to do so.
Halfway back, you can come up the stairs a little more quickly, fully alert, and gently stretch your body. Let your eyes open and look around the room or space around you. Feeling good in your body. Feeling more relaxed and more refreshed and energized than you were before. Feeling calm and clear-minded. And when you're all the way back, you can gently stretch again as you come fully alert, get relaxed and refreshed, and ready to go about making the best of your day or evening. Use this guided imagery process to explore with your creative imagination any situation that is stressful to you. When you deeply relax and ask for help, your inner mind can often provide new perspectives on old problems that can help you understand how to improve or resolve the situation. Let this process be an exploration. Notice what happens, and think about what your inner wisdom brings to your mind when you ask for its assistance. And take the time to really listen to it. Begin by getting comfortable and making sure you won't be disturbed for about 20 to 25 minutes. Start to relax by making your mind your motion that signals you're beginning relaxation and letting yourself take a deep, full belly breath. Whenever you need to go deeper, let yourself take another deep breath. And otherwise, let your breathing return to normal. When you're ready, imagine yourself at the top of your imaginary staircase that leads to a place of deep, powerful relaxation and clarity. And take the first step down to 10, inviting your feet, your ankles, and your legs to begin to relax. And as you go down the stairs, simply inviting and allowing each part of you to relax in their own way. And as each part of you relaxes, all of you can relax more deeply and comfortably. And as you relax more deeply and comfortably, it's easier for any part of you to relax. As you go to step 9, invite your hips, your pelvis, and your low back to soften and relax. And begin to go deeper. It's staying aware of each step, even as you relax more deeply. In step 8, release the abdomen, the waistline, and the midsection. Going deeper and more relaxed with each step. As you move to step 7, becoming aware of your chest and rib cage. And inviting the chest and rib cage to release tension and relax quickly. Don't worry at all how quickly, deeply any part of you relaxes, or how any part of you relaxes more deeply. Let the area between and across your shoulder blades relax as well. And pause for a moment to notice and enjoy any relaxation you're already feeling. And when you're ready to go deeper and let go of more tension, go to step 6. Letting your neck and shoulders become soft and at ease. Releasing and relaxing through the neck and shoulders. And at step 5, letting the feels of release go all the way down your arm, through your elbows, and down your forearms, through your wrists, and into the hands, and all the way to the tips of your fingers and thumbs. Let it be a really pleasant and enjoyable feeling of deep relaxation and comfort as each part of your body takes a well-deserved rest. Letting the palms of your hands relax as well. And as you go deeper in step 4, releasing your scalp and forehead, and letting them feel soft and at ease. And as you go to step 3, let your eyes and the little muscles around your eyes become soft and at ease. In step 2, release your face and jaw muscles, inviting them to release and relax any tension there into hold. And then your lips, and even your tongue can relax in your mouth. And in step 1, let yourself go to that beautiful, peaceful place of relaxation and healing. Whether it's the one you've been to before or the one that comes to you right now. And let yourself take some time to become centered and comfortable there. Take a few moments to notice what you see there today. And what you imagine hearing and thinking. Notice what the air is like, whether there's an odor or aroma you can sense. Notice the time, day or night, and the temperature. And especially notice the feelings of peacefulness, safety that you feel there. And find the spot where you feel most centered and aware. And let yourself get comfortably situated there. And as you do, bring to mind the situation, event, or people that are concerned to you, so deeply into your well-being. The image may be strange or familiar to you. They may come as a person,